So, introduction to research in social sciences. That's the first lesson that I'm doing for you. And I have been guiding students for many long number of years in carrying out research at the undergraduate and postgraduate level and at the doctoral level. What is research? Today, all of us are in search of information all the time. So, what kind of information do we look for? We look for prices of goods, we look for places to visit, we look for travels to be organized, and a series of things that we generally look for information. Now, does that looking for information contribute to research, or is it just seeking information? Let me tell you that constitutes only to looking for information, because once you have got that information, you cease to continue that search further. You drop that idea of searching on that subject any longer. So that means it is not any kind of research except that you are seeking some kind of an information. Now, when do we talk about research? So we look for research when we have got academic research, when we have got assigned projects to complete, or at the post graduation level you have a dissertation to complete. In both the cases, a term paper or a project of a dissertation nature, both are considered academic research, and they teach you how to carry out further research by using the research skills, the academic research skills. So the research scholars who are pursuing the PhD program, they carry on research work, but that is at a different level that can take 4 to 5 years to complete the project. Whereas a dissertation at a college level, postgraduate level, might give you 6 months to few months, 4 months or 5 months. Or it is a term paper, you have a term to complete that research paper. Then you also have research conducted by professional researchers who take up research projects of international and national repute, also of the state governments. There are many people who take up research work, and of course there are business companies, or we call them as research consultants, who carry on business research at different level. So in this lesson we shall see what is research and how will I help you to arrive at some topics of interest. How will I guide you towards choosing some topic that you may want to carry out your research. So that is what this lesson will be on. Scientific research. So the research that you did on searching information online is not scientific research. It is just seeking information. When we use the word scientific research, that means before we start a research work itself, there is a purpose, and the purpose is to contribute towards building knowledge in a particular domain. So if you are a student of commerce or economics or sociology or political science or any of these subjects, that subject is already a developed subject, and when you do research you will be contributing some information into that broad area of knowledge. So every researcher will contribute to his or her domain knowledge. Now, knowledge will be done only when we follow research in a scientific method. We follow scientific processes because only when we follow scientific processes, our research can be systematically planned. So that means even before we carry out research, there are several processes that need to be done, and only after those stages are complete do we actually enter into carrying out research. And it involves multiple processes. It is not that we get a topic and we start researching. No, we need to learn how to conduct the research, and for that you need to study the subject on research methodology. So when we are looking for these multiple processes, many of these processes have been used before you by other researchers, and they have detailed their research experiences in several books and journals, and so we have something ahead to look for, and we find these useful in carrying out our research. What is the outcome of research? Any outcome must provide verifiable knowledge. Now, verifiable knowledge means you have done the research, but somebody else want to verify whether your research is right or not, and that is one of the reasons you have a viva at the end of research. So whatever knowledge you have done cannot be done in a shoddy manner. It has to be done in a way that can be verified by somebody else and say, yes, this is the right method to have followed while doing research. Research also have to be reliable. That means the processes that you have done, the way you have collected the data, the way you have used the tools to analyze data, these must be reliable. This must be acceptable to the academic community. Or the research must be replicable. That means if somebody else wants to follow up a research of the kind that you have done, then it must be possible for them also to try similar methods to carry out their research. Finally, there has to be the validity of research. That means the conclusions that you draw of this research must speak of the integrity of the researcher. So when you just think of copying from different sources and writing, nobody accepts it as research, because those findings, whatever you might find, those findings are not to be taken as something valid, and they will not be taken as a reflection of integrity of carrying out research. So the way you have carried out research and the way you present the research, it is much easy for an expert researcher to find out whether you have followed research methodology or you have just collected some articles from different sources, put them together and put it into a bound form. So it's very much possible to identify, differentiate a good research from a poorly, badly managed research. So research can also be, the results of research can also be used for prediction. That means when good research is conducted, research generally promotes prediction. So many activities that are to be predicted, we can use the research finding. So you may not reach that level of research with your undergraduate and postgraduate research, but definitely it will allow you to understand that research must be done with integrity. Research must be done with dedication and sincerity. You cannot do a last minute work for research and think that if you have to submit your research in February or March of the year, you can do the research in February and submit in March. It does not happen, because that kind of research is very poor quality research, and the person who values your dissertation can very easily understand that it is bad research. Now the question that I ask you is, why shouldn't you do a good research? You have been given a chance to do research, you have got a research supervisor, you have got friends of yours, classmates of yours who are also doing research with you. So there is a possibility of learning good research skills from that opportunity that you have got now to learn research. Research into academics is a very recent phenomena, maybe about 15 years or 20 years at the maximum. In the earlier days, we never had a research as a subject in most undergraduate or postgraduate curriculum. Knowledge is cumulative. What do we mean by knowledge being cumulative? When we say knowledge is cumulative, we mean that for one knowledge, whatever piece of knowledge we get, we add it to the existing piece of knowledge. Now, when further knowledge is collected, we add it to that existing piece. Now, that is how all these disciplines, what we study, have grown over the years. Now, for example, as a student of economics, I could tell you how the ideas of those economists of the early days of Hebrews or Romans or the physiocrats, how did those ideas get accepted today? So they have understood many things about life and economies and people, and they have added to that. There is another addition to this, and there is another addition, and thus a body of knowledge is built. So this body of knowledge also develops certain new words, certain new ideas, concepts, or even certain vocabularies. Now all these helps us to build the vocabulary. That is how every subject we study has got a vocabulary. So once we know the vocabulary, what are we studying then? What do we study while we carry out research? We study about the phenomena, about the world, about things that are around us, about people around us, how do they live, how do they raise their children, how do they get jobs, and what is the purpose of education, and how do people pay their taxes, and so on. So many issues that we know, but we try and learn about all of them in quite a detailed manner. And most of what we know now is a matter of agreement. So we know that income tax must be paid by a certain date, and the government will account for it. Or we say that we need to carry on the production processes in a certain way up to a certain point. After that, it might not be worth carrying out that process. For example, for how many days should chicken be the bird chicken should be kept in the coop? After some number of days, the bird does not add weight, and to that extent, if the bird is not adding weight, feeding it of that bird is actually a waste of resources. So a student of economics will very easily understand these kind of terms, and so is the case with all the subjects that we study. So many things that we do on a day-to-day basis, we study as a matter of knowledge, as a matter of agreement, and some as belief. Now we believe how families trust members of the family, how trusting each other has got a more satisfying outcome than doubting someone. So these are all something that has come by experience. These have come by belief. We accept them. The question is, how do we know? There are so many things in this world, and how do we know about all these things? We never reflect on how did we learn. Now we learn many things through tradition. So many things about raising families, about going to school and going to college and looking for a job. All these are learnt by tradition. So we have seen our elders doing it, and therefore we do it. Getting married, for example, these are all done by tradition. These are passed on from one generation to the other, and these have got rewards which have been worth it, and therefore people accept certain kinds of activities. Many of the things that we have learned are also from experts or from authority. Now it could be experts. As a young child, the authority figures are the parents. So from parents they would have learned what to be done, how to brush their teeth before they go to school and so on. And once they reach into higher level, then they come to college level. Then you have teachers and professors who will tell you how to carry out research or how to study a subject, or they introduce you to many things. So many things many things are learned from an authority on that particular subject. Some are through direct experiences. For example, we learn many things by experiences. Like, we know when we touch something hot we get burnt, so we know that something hot should not be touched with bare hands. Or we can say by observation, we have learned, we have been taught by expert authorities that we should not cross the road when the signals of the lights are red, and therefore when we see that when we are crossing the road, we observe the lights and then we cross the road. We also observe that when people jump the signal, we have got police people waiting there to penalize those who have jumped the signal. So these are some things we observe, and therefore we learn that we must follow the road rules, we must follow the rules set by the government or whatever it is. So many things are learnt by experiences, and many things are learnt from observation, and some through reflection. Some of the things that we learn, we also reflect on them. We think about an event that we have observed, we reflect on them, maybe we discuss that with someone, and then we learn something more about that particular event. Now, looking for reality. While we do research, we are looking for something which is true. Now the question is, what is reality and how do we arrive at reality? In our day-to-day world, in this internet world, there are many things that are true, many things that are false, many things that are partly true and mostly false. There are many things partly most of it is false and a little bit of it is true. So we need to be careful about what we read, what we respond to, and we need to separate what is true and what is false. Now this cannot be done just by by listening to something or watching something on the TV. We need to be more critical in what we are seeing and watching and what we are reading. So predictive thinking without complete research on a subject can be extremely dangerous. It can cause a lot of concern for the society that we live in. Therefore, it is important for us as students and researchers to be more careful. We have to look for the truth, and looking for truth takes longer time than that is expected. So that is what will lead you to do research. What is science? Science is a systematic and organized body of knowledge in any area of inquiry. It could be in the area of dance, it could be in the area of music, it could be in the area of food and cooking, it could be on health, it could be on economic issues, it could be on commerce and any issue. Now, in all of these, what has happened is we have gone through a systematic process of learning. So when we carry on this systematic process of learning, the subject itself gets organized better than what it was before. In such a case, we are following what is called as scientific method of learning. And science itself is classified into three, mainly known as the natural sciences, physical sciences, and social sciences. So when we use the word physical sciences, we talk about physics and chemistry and mathematics and geology. So these are sciences of one kind, very precise sciences. On the other hand, we have natural sciences, which is about living organisms. So that has got medicine, that has got zoology, biology, microbiology, and a series of subjects of that kind, where they study living organisms of plants and animals, all kinds of living animals and plants. We have another kind of research called social sciences. In the area of social sciences, we are studying human beings. We want to know how do human beings live and work and put themselves in society. So we shall now concentrate on the study of social sciences. So economics is a social science, and so are the sciences of literature and your commerce and management and psychology and let me say sociology. All of these subjects come, anthropology, all of them come under the broad umbrella of social sciences. Now, what is the nature of social science? Social science is a study of collection of people, such as groups, such as firms, such as societies, of economies, of individuals, and collective behavior. There's a lot to study in social science because human beings can be studied from their different perspective. So if you're studying the economic life of a person, how he or she manages his resources, we are studying the discipline of economics. Somebody studying society, family, kinship, caste, religion, etc., we come under the subject of sociology. So like that, every subject has its broad domain area and the knowledge will go into those. But what we will study in all of these subjects is how do people behave as individuals in certain situation, how do individuals behave in groups, how do they live in groups, how do they make their societies, how do they connect with their other beings, not only in this country or this group of people, across the world. So all over the world we study people in different combinations and different activities and different time periods of history. So all of this we study if we put it under social sciences. And social science tend to be less accurate than physical sciences or that of natural sciences, much less than physical sciences, because we are studying human beings. And when we study human beings do not behave the same at all times. Though in a family itself they behave very differently at different times, but by and large there are certain structures which they follow. So studying social science does not give accurate result as you get in doing research in physical sciences or natural sciences. Social sciences are not very deterministic in that sense, and it has got a certain amount of uncertainty. So we can very easily say that there is an element of uncertainty in the findings that we might do. There might be something very, the research might throw up something totally different than what is expected, and then society has to accept that or understand that and move on. So that is how social sciences are by nature. And we also have a high degree of measurement errors, unlike not all social sciences are also measured. But then wherever we measure social sciences, like the subject of economics, we find that it may not be as exact as the other sciences we study. There will be errors, and these errors can be of different magnitude, and we accept this variability. It is not that it's a mistake we find when we do social sciences research and there are errors in measurement. It is just that we accept it, that there are differences, and these are various degrees of variability that can happen. And another interesting thing about social sciences research is these social science research, when they make policies, the policies are not accepted by all, simply because there are different perceptions about policy, and therefore very often policies are discredited by one group and accepted by another group. So that is the very nature of social sciences research. Now, I will give you, having introduced to you what is knowledge, how do we gain knowledge, what is science, and how do we understand science as three branches: the social sciences, physical sciences, and natural sciences. You got an idea that research means looking into any of these domains of social science. And how do we go about carrying out that research? I will present it to you in the next presentation. So here I have a little exercise for those of you who have not been able to arrive at any topic for carrying out your research, and you must be feeling quite fed up that you have not been able to arrive your topic, and you might suggest to your supervisor, kindly give me a topic of research, and you would follow that. But good research originates from you. You have to be the person who identifies a topic of research and then go to your supervisor and say, this is what I want to do research on. Let me tell you that process, the first process of identifying a research area. First thing is, identify at least 10 social sciences issues. When I say social sciences issues, you can identify in your domain. Now, if you are a student of sociology, you have the domain knowledge of sociology, you have the vocabulary of sociology, you know the main theories that are related to in sociology or in political science or history or whatever subject. You know your subject. You have completed a degree or near completing a degree, or you are a postgraduate student, so you know your subject. So in that subject that you are studying, take up at least 10 subjects that you like to study, that you are interested in, that you have a question to ask. So identify those 10 issues. Read them again after writing them. Always when we do research, we should keep a notebook with us. Computer is fine, but keeping a notebook is equally important, because an idea that comes into you, you can write it down, and when it is on a computer, you may not really save it, or you may not even bother to write it. But have a notebook with you all the time, because whatever ideas come up to you, please write it down. You do not know which of these ideas will become useful to you later. So, having identified 10 interesting subjects in your domain area, which is whatever subject you are studying, then look into them, read about them a little more if you can, in those 10 areas you want to read on, and then you rank those topics in order of importance. So suppose you want to study, the most important thing is, let me say you want to study, or do educated people migrate? If that is the most important among the 10 topics you studied, put that as the first topic. So once that first topic is the influence of education on migration, then the rest important, the less important, and the less important. So put all these 10 ideas in the series of importance. So once you put them in an order of importance, you have at least 10 areas of research ready with you. You may add in later, but then for the starting, you can put these 10 areas. After you have ranked them in order of importance, choose at least the top 5 topics to be studied further, and at this stage you may consider them to be important. You may read something more about it, you may reflect more about that, you may talk to teachers and others about it, that this is an area that you are interested in carrying on research. And when you do that, you may find that people give you some more ideas on what you are looking for, and finally you will be able to arrive at some topic which is certainly that is interesting to you, something that fascinates you. At that stage you can go to your research supervisor and say that I am interested in carrying out research in this particular topic, what else do I need to do? So that is your first motivator, deciding your topic of research. So once your topic of research is developed from your own observation, from your own reading, from your own reflection, those kind of topics will drive you to do research much better than somebody else assigning a topic for you. I have always disagreed on this idea when students come and ask me that please tell me what topic should I research. I said no, you have completed a graduate degree, you have completed a post, you are nearing completion of a post-graduation course, so there are many topics that you have studied. Now sit down calmly for about a week or so, think about the topics that you have studied, maybe flip through all the papers that you have studied, look through them, and you will definitely find 10 topics of interest. From that 10 topics, arrive at 5. From that 5, you may be able to come to 1 or 2 or 3, talk to people about it, and then once you feel that it is motivating you to want to know more about it, at that stage you can meet your research supervisor, or even before that you can meet your research supervisor, and you will be able to arrive at a topic of your interest. I am sure that by the time I meet you in the next lesson, your topic of research is almost ready. And if your topic is ready, the following lessons will be very useful to you. If you struggle without a topic, then the following topics may not make much sense to you. So I earnestly urge you to spend some time it will be only a week or so later. So by that time that you can actually search for your interest areas and work with them, and we shall have a good research dissertation done from you. It will be a pleasure for you to complete a good dissertation. So all the best, and I wish that you could share this session with your friends who are also struggling with carrying out their research, and also with this interest you could subscribe to this channel, which has got other interest areas of economics also. There is one section you will find that I have presented your lectures on economics, so you can follow that also, but subscribe for that session. So thank you very much and all the best.